But more importantly, pastors, the key thing I need you to do here is this month it was for pastors. Since next month is for women and girls, I'm going to be sending letters to your church to invite your first ladies. The Day of Unity is the 23rd of July. That's a Sunday. In these manuals, it's going to tell you how to put together your sermon from a biblical and spiritual perspective for the Day of Unity. We need you to participate. I need to know what you're going to preach on that day, and as pastors and the leadership, because that's what's going to make the program work at your church. I will need to know where you coming out of the Bible on your sermon that day. And then actually the first ladies are involved because that Saturday prior to that Sunday, some type of HIV health related event should occur, so that will get the church motivated for the Sunday sermon. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get started. As you know, this program is called the Black Church and HIV. In those manuals, if you look in the back of the manual, it's going to tell you what the schedule is. And it's going to tell you about the very last page. Okay? And then some of them are upside down to, just flip it.
Either book window or just the top.
Just the pastor's brief. So that's the actual schedule for the Black Church and HIV. And as you all know, the church is the leader and the backbone of our community. The church is where we go for our faith. It's where we go to fellowship. It's where we go to show each other love. It's where we go when we need a healing. It's also where we go when we want to find out what God's purpose is for us in our life. That's why this program is called the Black Church and HIV. If you look at the second page on the back side of your cover of your manual, you don't have to just look up here. I want you to stay on that page because that's the most important one for locally for us. But that right there just shows you how much work went into this program. Okay, 6 years, 11 of the biggest cities. Reverend Sadler was a part of this. Okay, putting this together. And then we have the I think they said she's not longer the chairman anymore. Okay. And then it tells you about our CEO and president and how he feels about handling this issue from a biblical and spiritual perspective. And then we have our stats. It's like 44% African American males and 62%, I believe. I wish I could see it.
It's 62s.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for the females. These are not probably accurate because this, stuff changes every day.
Can I say something?
Yes, please, Reverend Sadler.
Good morning, everyone. So I just want to chime in because she's giving you a lot of good information. So there are a few things I want to share with you. There is a statistic that says there are 21,000 black churches in the U.S. 21 black churches. So that says a lot about who's doing HIV ministry work or HIV work or health work and those that are not. There are a lot of churches and a lot of pastors that are engaging the black community and raising awareness. But what we have to understand that is very, very important is that we're so stuck on how people have contracted HIV. We're so stuck on the whys versus what do we need to do to create systemic and institutional changes. And that is what the NAACP is about. There are a lot of organizations that are starting or helping you to start HIV and health ministries, and that's phenomenal, and that's great. But we're again about creating that change, so to change lives. So people are able to know their status, get into care, and the thing about being into care is remaining compliant to your health and your medical care. And so you are aware of all that is attached to it, so you're not transmitting or contracting HIV along with other STD diseases. Why I wanted to stop here when we talk about this statistics because we're talking about heterosexual individuals. And so now I'm about to ruffle your feathers. because we as the black church really don't want to talk about a particular demographic that is more disproportionately impacted than us as heterosexuals. And that is what the CDC defines as MSM. And that is men having sex with men, the LGBT community. And that group from our babies, because I have a son who's 27, he's a heterosexual, but he's 27. The age group from 14 to 24, our black men who are having sex with other men, that group, the rates are rising in alarming numbers. And I know we probably want to have this conversation, but we have to have this conversation. Because what I tell people when I speak around the U.S. is, A, God created us all, period.com. God does not love us based on who we sleep with or what we do or don't do. He loves us because we are his creation. And when we talk, I remember being a little girl, and we talk about being a Christian. And I remember we learned to define what is Christianity and what is it to be a Christian. And the one thing I remember as being 46 years old today is that it is to be Christ-like. How much of us are exemplifying the love of Christ and how we engage with people, whether they're heterosexual or homosexual. And I'm going to say this because I've been a lay person. I have been in the church since I was a little bitty girl. I was the first lady, and I'm an ordained elder, and I'm not in no bootleg church. I'm in an African Methodist Episcopal Zion church, so I'm ordained by a credible institution. So I can say this and speak to this. I want you to hear me when I say this, because I'm going to come back to love again. We miss love so much in the church. The black church, or the church in general, is one of the greatest and unfortunate places that people go and are hurt and harmed. We should be providing an atmosphere, a place of peace, love, and harmony. Because guess what? It has been that black church from way back when that people connected to for resources, for information, for support, for encouragement, for prayer, for whatever we needed as a black community. It was the black church. And we need to continue to be that. And for some of us, we need to go back to being that. So, going back to the old school, leaning on those old principles, that's what we need to do. So I just want to really stop here and talk about that number, because we, again, our black young men are really, literally dying. Our people. And I'm going to say this. We want to often use, and I can say, I work at NAACP, we often want to use the race card to get things done. But at the end of the day, we as a people have to understand our power and our worth and come together and stop being divided. Because guess what? Election time, the white man or whomever realized the power that we possess as a community. How do I know that? Because we as preachers provide them the platform during election times to promote their personal agendas. We vote for them because they tell us what sounds good, but we don't hold them accountable. That's problematic. So the white man, and I'm not using it in the literal sense, in the context, the white man or any other ethnicity that's not black or African American realizes the power that we possess as a people. They realize our capacity, but that means nothing. We're going to remain the minority until we understand our power and our worth and put that to work to create change. So I empower us and I employ us to come together as a community to, one, change the rates of HIV by making sure there are not new infections, making sure, A, you provide screenings provided by Patricia in your churches so people know their status, to get into care, because you can live a longer life with HIV if you know your status and you're in care. And also remember that when you vote, of course I know for what Wayne votes. Amen?
Amen.
So even though you vote, which is great, hold those people that you put in office accountable. Partner with the NAACP local branch. So then go to your legislator and your representative office and make them know you. Make them know, get on their nerves till you create that change that your community deserves and desires. Because guess what? There is power in our voice. And I'm going to give you one point. We elected an individual, because I have to say the NAACP is nonpartisan. So we elected an individual for 2 terms because of us coming together, and a black faith community was behind us in making that happen. If we can do that, if we can create history from that perspective, imagine what kind of sustainable changes we can create as it relates to health and all these other disparities. Because HIV is a social justice issue because of those social determinants that are attached to it, such as poverty, education, lack of health care, lack of quality health care, mass incarceration. The list will pertain to us, go on and on. So to my point of us being black and coming together and us understanding our power, once we come together, we can create the change that needs to happen because we have that voice and we have that capacity to do that. Thank you.